Greetings and welcome, all people of the earth and all of the galaxies beyond. My name is RJ Ochoa. This is the SB Nation NFL show. This specifically is Monday Football Monday, the show where we react to all of Sunday's NFL action. Going to have a great time, myself and Pete Sweeney, in just a moment. But before we begin, a reminder that this show is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code SBNNFL for a special offer when you sign up. That's code SBNNFL. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, as mentioned, my name is RJ Ochoa. You can listen to me, see me at Blog of the Boys, SB Nation's home for Dallas Cowboys content. You can also see me here on Monday Football Monday. We do stream this live on the SB Nation NFL Facebook page and Twitter page. We also, of course, have the SB Nation NFL Show podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Leave a rating, write a review. Those things make our hearts soar. I cover the Cowboys. My cohort here on Monday Football Monday, Pete Sweeney, covers the Kansas City Chiefs for Arrowhead Pride, which is why he has slept a grand total of, I'm going to guess, Pete Sweeney, 39 minutes since the Chiefs won their 900th game in a row against the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it's been 12 games in a row. It feels like 900 at this point, I'd imagine, in Denver. And I have slept for a combined 4 hours right now, which is actually better than I typically will get for Sunday Night Football. So I'm feeling okay. My voice is a little bit different. I don't know why it sounds like this, but I'm going to push forward.
You know, I had a glamorous weekend, Pete. Cowboys had the mini bye coming off Thursday Night Football. Hey, imagine, Pete. Imagine not winning a game in primetime in Week 13 of the 2021 NFL season. I mean, I just can't imagine it. You know, I know you can't imagine it. The fraudulent Denver Broncos can't imagine it. But I had some time to ponder something that I wanted to throw at you before we begin.
Yeah,
if you're okay with that.
I love when you throw things at me.
Right. So we've established here that the weather outside is frightful and the fire is so delightful, and we've got no place to go. So, you know, the general premise here is like, hey, we're stuck. The fire's great. Everything's awesome. Let it snow, right? If it's wonderful in here, let it be chaos outside. You with me?
100%. Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
a few measures later, oh, the fire is slowly dying. I mean, we're talking a grand total of maybe 45 seconds later. The fire has gone from being delightful to now is slowly dying. Although I think you could say, like, isn't any fire slowly dying, theoretically?
Well, in the sense of a song, too. I mean, some songs could last for years and years. You know, it could be a time continuum type of situation. But
again, after the line, you know, the fire is slowly...
time machine.
Oh, great point. But if the fire is slowly dying, they're still saying to let it snow. So at this point, you know, like hypothermia could be setting in if you're asking for snow and you don't have a fire. It seems a bit of an irresponsible
Someone
way
go get the blankets.
Yes,
the fire is dying out.
Actually, somebody go get the hot tub. To your point.
You know what? This voice may play into me being a
You're a
singer at some point.
You're like Phoebe Buffay when she had the cold in the dark version of Smelly Cat.
Then you're just forever just trying to get the cold back again, so you can sound like that again.
Pete and I are in joyous moods, not because it is the holiday season, not because the Dallas Cowboys and Kansas City Chiefs are victorious on primetime this week, but Pete, because where we start first, the Detroit Lions. And everybody get your hands up from the 313 because they are 1-10-1. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, the whole crew, 29-27, walk-off game winner like Chauncey Big Shot Billups back at the Palace at Auburn Hills. The Lions, Pete Sweeney, get on the board this season with a win over the Minnesota Vikings. We have to start here.
Yeah, palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti. Congratulations to the Lions on a big win. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be another one of those Dan Campbell situations where he made the wrong move going for it on fourth down. I was thinking about you when they decide to go for it on fourth down.
We have a contentious subject with one game to get to that I think we'll argue on, but go ahead.
From their own territory. And what a onion-filled move to go for it. Does not work out. Looks like they blew it. The Vikings were going to snicker away and manage the win. Did anyone who watches football for any amount of time in America think that Jared Goff was capable of that throw? No. The answer is no. And so what an improbable victory.
So I think where the Lions deserve a little bit of credit, a little bit more than maybe you're willing to give them, is they almost beat Minnesota last time. And remember, there was the crazy, again, incidentally, we will get into this with Rachel's Baltimore Ravens. But they went for two at the very end. The Lions did to go for the win. Again, in their initial meeting with the Vikings, they got it. And then Kirk Cousins was able to go down and score, get the game-winning field goal, and there just wasn't, there wasn't the time for that. This was literally a walk-off situation. Right. Jared Goff, not the world's best passer, we know that, but 25 of 41, 296 yards, 3 touchdowns again, including the game winner. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, Pete Sweeney, 30 of 40, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a passer rating of 116.7.
Your boy Kirk.
Here's the thing, I can't wait to hear the Oddcast this week and hear them talk about it if they're still doing that thing. But BLG immediately slacked Stats and I and said, what happened to Kirk Cousins? Here's the thing. I actually feel really bad for Kirk. What's he supposed to do? The fact that Minnesota let Detroit just go all the way downfield, score this game-winning touchdown. How is this on Kirk Cousins? Kirk did his job. I mean, I don't know how people, this is just another opportunity for
the classic thing in the NFL, though. I mean, you got to come up in big situations and do your job. And
he did that, though. He threw a touchdown to Justin Jefferson late in the game to take the lead.
I'm going to go cliche here. If the Lions score 29, that means Kirk, what does he need, RJ? He needs to find a way to get 30. He's got to refuse to lose in that situation. I got to say something about the Lions here before we get back to the Vikings. This is an 0-10-1 team that came in. Did you see this game where the fan base is still dressing up? They're still into the game somehow, which is remarkable. And to Dan Campbell's credit, and I love to make fun of Dan Campbell. It has become one of my favorite pastimes on the show. But he has all these guys caring about this. It's incredible. I think it's incredible. You could tell how badly they wanted the victory. Not that you're not going to be super excited about your first victory, but it was over the top, right? I mean, I don't know if you felt that way, but I just couldn't believe how much the Lions still seem to care, just literally only playing for the spoiler role. Right?
They're the opposite of what their uniforms suggest, that just dull gray head to toe. Lions, seriously, you got a remarkable shade of blue you're working with here. Why are you drowning yourself in gray? But I agree with you, Pete. There are some fan bases who would not handle this as well. Some star defensive players in the NFL have referred to as toxic. I don't think would understand, the rigors of building a championship team, which is clearly what the Lions are doing. I mean, look, to your point, it's awesome. It's great to see the Lions. I think everybody's very happy. It's a really awkward thing. Every week, are we really going to go, 0-17? And then oh no, are we really going to go 0-16-1? I'm happy for them. They no longer have to deal with those questions.
Yeah. If you look at the team stats of this game, it's remarkable that the Lions really could win it, where you had the Vikings, they had more first downs. They outgained them 426 to 372. The Lions were 2 of 11 on third down, whereas the Vikings were 6 for 13. Adam Thielen goes down in this game, and Justin Jefferson doesn't suffer at all. Justin Jefferson looks like the league's best receiver, and Justin Jefferson is 22. That's crazy. I mean, that in itself is crazy, and yet somehow the Lions managed to win it. That's football. This is why we watch football. So kudos to the Lions on their big victory. The Vikings are done. It's time to move on from Mike Zimmer. I know they gave him extension. You can't lose this game. You just can't. You got to be 6-6 out of this.
I was browsing the Vikings subreddit, and there was literally a thread entitled "This is our mega fire Mike Zimmer thread." We're consolidating all of them into one. You say they're done, and look, I'm not saying there's promise with the Vikings. I think they probably have to move on from Mike Zimmer. Once upon a time, somebody on the SB Nation NFL show picked him to be the first head coach fired this season. No big deal, but they are currently the 9 seed in the NFC, Pete. I mean, we know Detroit's not in the mix here, by the way, but they're the 9 seed. They're 5-7. No. And and they don't have the tiebreaker over the 49ers because San Francisco beat them last week. So I mean, they need some help, but they're still in the mix.
I'm watching Minnesota. I've already moved on to 2022 in Minnesota, and I'm watching for my guy, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, who has held a position in Minnesota before.
That's where you want him to go?
I want him to find a home. That could be anywhere. It really literally could be anywhere. You just want them to find a place where they can make their own. And it could be, I don't care if it's any of the 31 teams at this point. I want to see Bieniemy get a job.
Right on. Okay. Congratulations to the Detroit Lions. Pete Sweeney is proud of you. We move on, Pete, now to the PA. To the Pittsburgh, PA, the banks of the Three Rivers, where the Pittsburgh Steelers outlasted the Baltimore Ravens. Again, Rachel's Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, Rachel, although I am about to stand for John Harbaugh. The decision, Pete Sweeney, that everybody's going to be talking about in the aftermath of this game. I saw Kyle Barber and the staff over at Baltimore Beatdown had an entire post dedicated to everybody's opinion on this at the end of the game, because final score is 20-19. The Ravens are down 20-13. They score a touchdown. And, well, now is the time. Now is the time for analytics to show up to decide who you're going to be, whether history's going to smile on you or call you a coward. John Harbaugh is a hero. He is a champion. He goes for 2. Lamar Jackson misses Mark Andrews. You can argue it was bad throw. Andrews should have caught it. I don't know. You can go either way. And Baltimore fails to get the 2-point conversion. Pittsburgh outlasts them. So Pittsburgh improves to 6-5-1. Meanwhile, Baltimore falls to 8-4. There is a new number 1 seed in the AFC, and we will get there when we tease Monday Night Football. But Pete, your thoughts on this? The 2-point conversion. This game was kind of slow. This was like a wine, that had to kind of what's it called when it like airs out? You know what I'm talking about? And they have the fancy vases for it that stick out.
I'd like to get Kyle Barber on video after this game.
Oh, it all comes back. It all comes back.
I look at this AFC where you have all 4 teams now with the 4 losses. We don't have to talk about that. I have a lot of takes about this. All right. So this is where the analytics community in a sense drives me a little nuts. And I respect analytics. So I don't want to come off on a guy who is anti-analytics. This is like the political hemisphere. I'll even tell you, I'm a moderate. I don't agree with a lot of either of the opinions, and I'm probably a moderate when it comes to analytics as well. Whereas I think sometimes you really got to look at the percentages, and I'm to the point where if there's got to be a gut to it too, but the percentages got to be in your favor. Where if you're on the opposing 30 and you get to 4th down and your offense is rolling, go for it. If it's 4th and 2, go for it, right? Because it's successful more than it isn't. What drives me crazy about the analytics community right now is they say, okay, follow the numbers. Then you get the next gen stats. Ravens coach John Harbaugh's decision to go for 2 with 12 seconds remaining.
I don't understand how next gen feels this way.
Reduce
personally
the percentage, right? So if we're following analytics, the analytics people should be like, no, he should have kicked it there, but they don't. They aren't analytics people. They're aggression people. They need to rename themselves Entitled. I actually agree with the decision, not because of these dumb analytics, but because after he said to the staff, or he said to the media, look, we were out of cornerbacks. They ended up losing Marlon Humphrey. They didn't want to go to overtime because
seemingly lost for the season, by the way, but go on.
Right. And they're already severely injured. So he made the decision, not because of the percentage, because he follows the percentages. He probably would have kicked it. He made the call because he was out of cornerbacks, which I respect. He was trying to buy himself time, get a victory, buy himself time to figure out the secondary heading into next week. And it just didn't happen. So it drives me a little bit nuts. And he was also asked about the play. And he referenced how football is a game of inches. Great play by Watt to pressure Jackson. It just didn't end up working out for Jackson connecting with Andrews. And Harbaugh referenced Al Pacino and he given Sunday and how you have all these inches and you have to get the first down. And so for me, look, I have a lot of takes, but the biggest takeaway I have has nothing to do with next gen stats, has nothing to do with analytics. This is a Pete gen stat. The Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers. You talk about one player not making impact on a game. Well, I give you this. They are 6-2 when TJ Watt plays 80% of snaps. He might be the most important non-quarterback in the NFL because it is a different football team. It is a playoff football team with him on the field and a non-playoff football team with him off the field. And that's all I have to say about this game.
So for me, I'm glad that the Marlon Humphrey factor has swayed certain people to approving of John Harbaugh's decision, yourself included. I personally feel like that's the decision, regardless of your roster at the moment. I mean, say what you will about the play call. You have Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh. Just have Lamar snap it and run around and run into the end zone. That's Lamar. You have one of the most dangerous red zone weapons in the NFL. And granted, Lamar is a great passer, but I would have loved to have seen that. I mean, that's general. Although like you mentioned Marlon Humphrey was out. I mean, the Steelers also had 7 sacks on Lamar. Like that's another reason to go for the win right there. I mean, who knows? And the take I hate, this isn't yours, Pete, but is you've got Justin Tucker, you got the best kicker in the NFL, you kick the extra point, you go to overtime. Why? So that you have to at this point trust the extra point, which is seemingly a foregone conclusion, but you do have to trust that is one variable. You have to trust the coin toss going your way. You have to trust getting a score again in a situation where your quarterback has been sacked 7 times and a fourth quarter, the fourth quarter has been very kind to the Steelers. And then you either have to get a stop first or go score and then get a stop. Like it's too many variables versus the variable of just score on this 1 2-point conversion. I think that sometimes, and you kind of hinted at this, I think sometimes we lump things we don't totally understand into the the analytics umbrella, right? It's like you ever like when you were a kid, you had like bins, you put certain toys away, and like Pete's got his Power Rangers bin, he's got his Ninja Turtles bin, but then you got the one bin that's like
a lot of wrestling figures. Yeah.
Well, that you got the wrestling figurines, but then or action figures, excuse me, and then
you've
got
I'm actually still missing my Undertaker action figure. So whoever has it,
we'll get on that.
Someone return that for me.
Timmy down the street, give it back.
Rest in peace. I'm sorry, go ahead. I just had to
but you had the one bin, the one box, whatever, for like your one-off toys. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like, I don't really have a place to put this. They all just go in this random hodgepodge. That's what some things happen. That's like analytics is the hodgepodge for things we don't totally understand. So I'm happy to see that you agree that John Harbaugh is a brave man. You mentioned TJ Watt. Obviously, he is spectacular.
12 pressures in this game. Now has 16 sacks in 10 games.
He might break the record. We'll see. But
10 games.
I did want to say, Pete, I think Mike Tomlin deserves some flack for a comment he made at the end of this game. And we have all, I mean, there are very, very few things that we all here on the SB Nation NFL show agree on, but we have all thrown roses at Mike Tomlin. The Steelers never fall apart with Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach. He's managing to get it done with this awful version of Ben Roethlisberger, so after the game, he comes out and says, they're so into analytics that they've come predictable. Now you can predict how they're going to act based off of these analytics. Mike, I love you, but you're telling me you predicted Lamar's pass slightly being off to Mark Andrews. And what's more, Pete Sweeney, is Mike Tomlin called a timeout before the 2-point conversion. So the Ravens are so predictable that Mike Tomlin had to call a timeout to gather himself and get his defense ready for the stop they had nothing to do with outside of TJ Watt. I mean, you
like this, RJ. I was walking out of Arrowhead Stadium last night. Who do I pop in with the elevator? Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio didn't like this either. He told me. He said, I didn't like this at all. I didn't like this move.
Vic Fangio.
And it finally cost them. Yeah, it was a nice exchange. I said, RJ says hello. Take care, Vic. Sorry about the game. See you week 18.
We'll get to Vic. Let's go now, Pete Sweeney, to the land of Grey's Anatomy. Seattle, Washington, the original Washington football team, as BLT likes to know.
It was in Seattle?
It was based in Seattle, yeah. I forget the name of the
Coffee and Rain, and now the crap.
Oh, and the fish,
and the Sonics,
the fish thing, the fish throw that they do. But the Seahawks outlasting the San Francisco 49ers 30-23. This game, sorry, Pete, the actual Sunday Night Football game was super duper boring, and this game was supposed to be on Sunday. No, this was supposed to be Sunday Night Football, and this would have been a joy to have watched Sunday Night Football. This game was back and forth, mistake after mistake, turnover after turnover, drama after drama. The Seahawks, Pete Sweeney, have, is that a Seahawks noise?
It might be.
I don't think so, but the Seahawks have now swept the 49ers this season. They improved to 4-8. They are the 15th seed in the NFC at the conclusion of week 13. Meanwhile, the 49ers, who had strung together a nice couple of wins, the cycle continues, Pete. In the NFC West, the Seahawks own the Niners. The Niners own the Rams. The Rams own the Seahawks, and the Cardinals just hang out. But 30-23, your thoughts on all of this mess?
Good to see the return of 2 NFL stars in this game.
Return of the 2 NFL stars.
George
Return of the 2 NFL stars.
Oh man, that actually is my karaoke song. But that's beside the point. So George Kittle,
mine's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain.
Look, oh my goodness, hey, hello there. George Kittle is back. It's taken a while, I think, for him to really, I feel, healthy. And we've seen a couple of glimpses of it this year, but this was one of those George Kittle games. I know the 49ers ended up winning it, Also, Russell Wilson, it feels like he's finally healthy this year. It's too little, too late for Russ. 4-8 is just too big of a hole. I think for the Seahawks to get out of. I mean, it's not impossible, right? They could rip off 5 wins and maybe it falls back to them. But good to see Russ is just not falling off the face of the earth, and he's still good. And maybe it did have to do with injuries.
I think that's a cop out. I'm not blaming you, but I think that's like now we want to like credit Russ because he had a nice game.
He had limited potential, and now it seems like he has unlimited potential. Carlos Dunlap sacked Jimmy Garoppolo for his safety in this game. He had a pass deflection at the end of the game for the goal line stand. And I wrote this down, another Pete Gen stat. The PGA. 49ers have now been swept by the Cardinals and the Seahawks, right? So the 49ers are sitting there at 6-6, and maybe San Francisco is excited about that, but they've just beaten the LA Rams. That's the only team that they've beaten with a winning record. So do we really expect either of these two teams to make the postseason? I tend to think no. Seattle, to me, if it just had one less loss, I'd be more optimistic about it. I just don't see them running the table. And there's no way San Francisco has a good enough record at the end of all this to make the playoffs. So I think both of these teams are on the outside looking in.
See, so Frisco currently the 7th seed, currently the final wild card.
Frisco, they got that.
I mean, hey, I
was in the car during this game, and the radio guy in San Fran has a great call.
So you're a San Fran guy. I go Frisco, you go San Fran.
I don't think you're supposed to do either thing, right?
San Francisco is just a lot of syllables.
I think the San Franciscans get upset about either.
I think it's San Franciscoans. I don't think it's San Franciscans.
I don't know who the radio announcer is, and I'm killing myself in California right now. But he has such a sound to the O, and when San Francisco scores, it's like touchdown San Francisco.
That's a lot of syllables.
That actually was a better job than I thought I would be able to do, but it's a beautiful call. I mean, it does remind me a little bit of KC.
You do a lot of great jobs, everywhere. I don't know why you would not have confidence in yourself.
I was pleasantly surprised by me pulling off the impression there. Well, that's the first time I've ever tried to do it.
The 49ers currently sit, and the NFC playoff picture, by the way, Pete, is set through week 13. We have obviously Monday Night Football left. It's an AFC game. So San Francisco at week's end is the 7th seed. They would travel to take on the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round, if the playoffs started today. They obviously don't. The NFC finally, Pete, has a situation where all of the playoff teams at the moment are 500 or better. But every team that is in the hunt, so to speak, has a record below 500. So we're going to get some real low quality teams there at the bottom. I don't think they're done. That's my point.
You know why I like this? Because, and we haven't gotten to the game yet, but there's a certain team that's spicy right now, playing their style of hard-nosed. We don't need a team name football. And I think you know who I'm talking about.
All right. By the way, George Kittle, 9
catches,
Heinicke, a $181, 2 touchdowns for Kittle. Good for him. Let's go now, Pete Sweeney.
Touchdown. How about the tiptoe touchdown?
Twinkle. You're right.
Like a little star.
There are a few players and I'm being this seriously. There are a few players who, when they are in their Super Saiyan mode, I tweeted this, are like that untouchable. Like, obviously, if you're going Super Saiyan, you're untouchable to a certain degree. But his Super Saiyan mode is ridiculous. I mean, he is one of the most fun players to watch when he is like all the way on. And you just like you hate when a team doesn't win that game. You know what I mean? When they get that type of performance, and so real shame.
Yeah. Vintage Kittle, if you will.
Right. Okay, let's head to the desert where the Las Vegas Raiders were unable to beat the team with no name. What a shame, Pete Sweeney, for the Kansas City Chiefs to see their division rival lose.
How does Washington not have a name yet, right?
They're getting it in the offseason. It's coming in the offseason.
Right, but it was reasonable last year, right? Because everything kind of went down. You have a full offseason. And really, you could have had business people working on it during the season last year. It's stunning that they don't have a name. At this point, it's actually become a cool name. I think they should just keep it at this point.
They're not. I mean, they've taken some time. They've ran some focus
Is there a
groups,
Vegas favorite on it?
Twitter
I don't
polls.
even know. What's the latest on it?
Vegas wants nothing to do with this team after what happened on Sunday. 17-15, the final score. Both teams now 6-6 on the season. Taylor Heinicke continued to impress, however you want to put that. 23 of 30, a buck 96, 2 touchdowns, the interception. Derek Carr coming up small in a big time moment. No touchdowns, no interceptions,
Surprise.
but just just hanging out. This was kind of a weird game. Washington's time of possession, 33 minutes, 43 seconds to Vegas' 26-17. It just kind of felt like Washington was in control. It was a close score really all throughout, but it always felt like Vegas was chasing. I know you were,
which is weird because they were winning with less than a minute left. But I know what you're saying.
It never felt stable. Like like you just kind of felt like, and I know you were getting ready to get to Arrowhead, but I mean, like, having watched this whole game, it just felt like it was not going to last. I mean, they didn't score a touchdown Vegas till the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like, and that's like, it just, who are you mad at? Now, some awful injuries in the aftermath of this game. Logan Thomas on the Washington side, Pete, tight end, who's been really phenomenal for them. Converted quarterback. By the way, people love to say Bruce Arians, the quarterback whisperer. Bruce Arians drafted Logan Thomas to be a quarterback. And now he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, but go figure. And Kenyon Drake, who also took to Twitter to let people know about the play he was hurt on and how the NFL has to work on this. And that's a shame. You hate to see anything like that.
I like Drake's tweet there. I hate the situation with them getting injured, but the NFL has all these rules, especially this year, it seems like, about dumb stuff. And there are many, many other areas of focus to be had where they need to address certain types of play. I don't disagree with it. Like, stop worrying about people taunting, which is, I've said this before, the WWE stuff is the best part of sports, period. When there's a little bit extra, then they're like, oh, let's get rid of that. Meanwhile, there's no penalty on that play.
I agree. I mean, and I hate this tweet, but you see this tweet all the time. And I hate it because it's not original. Like, let's just be original with our comedy here. But whenever a fight breaks out, people say, how could the fight be happening? They got rid of the taunting penalty, because the NFL said, this is supposed to get rid of fighting. So whatever. But back to this game, this was Vegas. Like, hey, I was impressed by them on Thanksgiving to a certain degree, but they've never felt like a stable team. They've obviously been through an enormous amount of things this season, and we've seen that take its wear and tear. Pete, it just you had to win this game though. If you were Vegas, you had to. There was no way you couldn't not win this game, and they did. They didn't, rather, which is really unfortunate. And now they're 6-6, really entering the meat of December, and their upcoming games, Pete, at Kansas City on Sunday, as I know you're aware, then at Cleveland, and we'll see who they are, then the Broncos. So that's 2.5 frauds, at least over the next 3 games, then at Indianapolis, and then the Chargers to end it all. I mean, that's a hard way to end for the Raiders.
Problem is they're now sitting in the 10 seed, and there's so many teams in the mix in the AFC. You almost have to go perfect if you think they're going to make the playoffs, period. And it's not going to happen against those 5 teams. It's just not. Even the Colts and Carson Wentz, who the hell saw that coming? That's a tough matchup for them, and probably what's going to be a must-win game if they're going to make the postseason. And so this was probably the quote-unquote end of their year in a sense. And it was a story, and this is where it's tough. I think with everything that happened in Vegas, Bisaccia taking over, some of the stuff off the field, the rug situation, they became in a sense likable, and you were kind of rooting for the Raiders to dig themselves out of the rubble. But I just don't see this as a playoff team. The football team, on the other hand, is spicy. They're winning ugly every single week. But to me, they have a method to their madness. They were 7 of 13 on third down in this game. They have the 48-yard field goal to take a lead with 40 seconds left. There's a final drive, a deep shot to Zay Jones that they knocked down. And Heinicke isn't fancy, right? But he's a winner. I know you hate that, RJ, but he's just finding a way to win these football games, and he's playing his brand of football. He's completed 70+% of his passes in 4 straight games. That's kind of absurd, despite the lack of air yards, I know. And Washington is 4-0 in the games, and that's the longest streak in the NFC.
Heinicke is very interesting, to say the least, but let's not forget he went scoreless in the second and third quarters here. So, far from perfect. I know you're not, saying he's perfect, but they are very interesting. And I will give Ron Rivera and the Washington football team a lot of credit. Their season looked to be done and over, and And what's more is they do. By the way, the NFC East, not the trash everybody thought it would be again. And I've said this 1,000 times. I hate when they predict seasons, they just repeat the stories of the previous season. Like how many people Pete Sweeney said, I bet you the NFC East can be won with 7 wins this year. You know what I mean? Like it's just things aren't as
for what it's worth. I never said that. So
you didn't, but a lot of people did. So those things grind my gears.
About your
but the NFC East is low quality. Again, not the utter trash that it was last year. But in spite of how low quality it is, Washington has 6 wins, and none of them have come against the NFC East. Or excuse me, only one of them has. They beat the New York Giants on that Thursday Night Football game. But the reason that only one of them has come against the NFC East is because they have 5 games left, and they are all against the NFC East. I don't know if you realize this or not. So starting this Sunday, huge game in the NFC East. Washington hosts the Dallas Cowboys. That game's at noon. I do wonder
who you got in that game. Do you have a prediction for that? Early prediction?
Well, our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook have the Dallas Cowboys as 4.5-point favorites. I think it's going to be a little tight. I think it's maybe a tight sort of game. Maybe there's a Tony Pollard touchdown in the fourth quarter that breaks it open. Maybe they cover that way. I think the Cowboys win, but even if the Cowboys win, even if the Cowboys lose, they'll get a chance to make up for it 2 weeks later. This is Washington's next 5 weeks. Their next month, they play 2 teams. They have Dallas at home, then they are at Philadelphia, at Dallas, and then they get Philly at home before they visit the New York Football Giants to end the regular season.
I'm looking
hang on,
at
Pete.
this.
I want to say one thing. I think that Washington has taken the word football away. I don't think we can call them the New York Football Giants anymore. They're just the New York. They don't deserve that anymore.
They've taken that.
It's the Washington football team, and the Giants are just the New York Giants.
Well, the Giants don't deserve any nice comments or any compliments, I should say, at all at this point. They're embarrassing. I want to get to that next game coming up. You said our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook want to give me 4 points from my carnitas burrito. What are we doing? Can you lay the points? Do you have enough confidence in your own team?
So we are even Steven, right, on Chipotle burritos.
This is a carnitas burrito we're talking
about. No.
So.
But I'm saying like to date, like our score to date. For anyone who's unaware, Pete and I don't check the tape. We've been every single week doing Chipotle burrito bets. We're caught up, right? We're square. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. A carnitas burrito bet. I will lay the points. I'll give you 4.5. Cowboys in Washington.
We'll
on
check
Sunday.
back next Monday.
Lock it in. Let's Where do you want to head next, Pete? I guess let's go to the other NFC East game that was of note on Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles and the come up of the week, Gardner Minshew.
What the hell?
Get the win.
Giving up my award.
33-18 over your New York Jets, Pete Sweeney.
Wait a minute.
Gardner.
I don't know.
It was speculated all week long. Might get the start for Jalen Hurts. Comes to pass before the game starts. He goes 20 of 25, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, both of them to Dallas Goedert, who I very wisely left on my bench. Not at all bitter about that. Zach Wilson did his best, 23 of 38, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns himself, and an interception. This game was kind of interesting early before the Eagles pulled away. The Jets, Pete, fall to 3-9. The Eagles 6-7. There is a heartbeat as far as their playoff chances are concerned, but a huge congratulations to the come of the week, Gardner Minshew.
I cannot believe you did that. That's obviously my award. I've only given it out every episode of this podcast that we've done dating back to the.
It just felt right. I want you to know there was no plans to do that. Just felt right. Just off the cuff. I had to do it.
The problem with it, and here's what you're the definition of inconsistency when it comes to awards. You started out, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a new award every 2 or 3 weeks, and we've seen like the Thanksgiving dinner award, the green jacket was floated out.
The raspiest voice of the century goes to Pete Sweeney today, by the way. Just so you know.
Steal the yeet of the week, and as a commenter correctly pointed out, you don't even know what you're doing with it. And now you're taking the most prestigious award in Monday Football Monday, which is the come up of the week. And the come up of the week is not only for Gardner Minshew, it's for Minshew mania in general, because you're going to have a situation here. And we all see it already because the questions are already being asked by Sirianni, where Hurts is going to come back. And guess what? On December 19th at noon Central, 1 Eastern, whatever it is in the West Coast, Hurts is going to lose to the Washington football team. And then You are going to have Philadelphia saying, we need to run the table. We need to put Minshew out for these final 3 games against the New York Giants, the Washington football team, and the Dallas Cowboys. And Minshew Mania right after Christmas. It's going to be the Christmas gift that nobody wants. It's going to be Minshew Mania in Philadelphia, the come up of the week. And it's a future come up of the week. Wait for December 26th. That week of Christmas, people are going to be clamoring for Minshew, especially, and I predict this, especially when Hurts loses to the WFT. There you go.
Coming soon, come up of the week. I like it. Look at how prophetic.
Well, I had to, when you go and steal my content, I have to adjust on the fly and make sure it's unique. So there you go.
That was seriously, Pete. That run right there, that was peak Pete Sweeney right there. The New York Giants. I mean, just look at this guy. He don't miss, Pete Sweeney. No. This game ended with 4 Jake Elliott field goals. Those were the last 4 scores of this game.
I wrote any other notes. I had to go on the fly there. Did I write? No, I didn't really write any notes. Miles Sanders, $120. Goddard, welcome back to the universe. And Elliott with the 4 field goals. That's all I had as well.
Congratulations to Gardner Minshew. Congratulations to our friends at Bleeding Green Nation, who now on their bye week have to deal with 2 weeks of, I think Gardner should start over Jalen Hurts. That won't get annoying at all. Okay, Pete Sweeney, where do you want to go next? You pick. Give us a game. Give us a direction.
I just pick anything. We got to get through them all, and because I just want to have enough time at the end. I feel like we always don't leave enough room for ourselves.
Okay, all right. Then let's start. You ready to start the blitz round, the fast round, the fast P? You got the dancing shoes on, ready to toe tap your way through this?
So we're going to try to go a little quicker starting now. That's a good idea. Start that earlier so I know.
We should, just so everybody knows, everybody's on the same page. The pace picks up. Here we go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Pete Sweeney, get the win at the ATL. 9-3, the Bucs are the 3 seed in the NFC. 30-17, the final score. Atlanta falls to 5-7. This season, predictably, just meh for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons are done. This is more about the Buccaneers. The Falcons are just in year 1 of what is the rebuild. I know there will be questions surrounding Matt Ryan and maybe why they didn't go in a different direction, especially because Pitts has been good, but he hasn't been the advertised world beater, great tight end. He may develop into that. I don't think the story's necessarily written on that, but the
rest is still unwritten.
You go with Pitts instead of the QB, and Matt Ryan is now going to be a year older, and you're sort of in the same position, kind of in the middle of the pack in the NFL. And then the Buccaneers continue to just pile up wins. I think they're a better team with Antonio Brown. I know there's rumblings that they may not bring him back, and I think they're still a solid football team and a solid pick to win the NFC even without Antonio Brown. You're seeing Rob Gronkowski. We're talking about Pitts and young tight ends. Gronk,
ageless.
He last year pretty clearly was out of shape for like half the year. And then half the year moving forward, he became just the same guy that he was with Brady in New England. And that has not changed this year. He stayed in shape and is continuing to put together another solid season and had the 2 touchdowns in this game. Leonard Fournette, I thought he was kind of this playoff special guy, and this would be more of a tandem this year. But he is proving that he is still a valuable asset in the NFL. And the target number on Chris Godwin yesterday.
17 targets.
Unreal. Who has 17 targets? You only really see that in Green Bay with Devontae Adams for the most part. 15 receptions, 143. I should not have traded him for Saquon Barkley leading into this game. I had a lot of regret as I was watching this. And so there you go. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I know they're a little bit behind in the NFC, right? We're looking at it right now. They are the number 3 seed. Green Bay has the tiebreaker because of the conference win percentage, but they're still right in the mix. Would you be stunned if Tampa Bay didn't really run it here? And who knows if it comes back to them and they get the bye? I wouldn't. It's a solid football team, has a couple bad losses, but I think everything's right in front of them.
First of all, doing a great job picking up the pace we are. But second of all, Tampa has the Bills.
Was that facetious?
Tampa has the Bills next week. I'm very interested to see who the Bills are on Monday night. Whether they are, frauds, whether they come out.
I cannot wait for this game tonight.
It's going to be awesome.
Back. I'm as we're talking about carnitas burritos. It's on the tip of my tongue. I might have to go after I do Andy Reid today and get myself a carnitas burrito for this game. I definitely need a nap. as well.
Okay, very quickly here. I want to go through the final, and this is our last deeper game. We will pick up the pace, we promise, on the next games. But I want you just, Pete, win or loss. Okay, we're going to go through the remaining games for Arizona, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay. You ready to play?
Yeah.
Who do you want to go do first? Tampa, Arizona, Green.
Are we going? We're skipping Kansas City this week?
No. I'm saying we're tying a bow on this game. We're heading to the rest of the games in a moment. So, but I want to, while we're on the subject of the NFC playoff picture, I want to do this really quickly.
Oh, okay. I got it. All right. Hit me again.
Okay. Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa Bay. I'm just going to ask you to pick wins, losses for the remaining 5 games. Who do you want to do first?
Arizona.
Okay. Arizona. Next week, they have the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football. Win or loss?
That is a win.
Okay. Then at Detroit. That's a win, right?
Yeah. Has to be.
Then the Colts, Christmas weekend.
The Colts are spicy, but I'll still stick with the Cardinals, I guess.
Okay. So and then at Dallas in the penultimate week.
Well, of course, I'm going to go with my Cardinals in that one.
Okay. And then Seattle to end it.
Even
if you have them losing, that's probably the 1 seed is Arizona, because you're giving them 4 more wins.
Right. Okay? And Cliff probably benches everybody in that week.
Okay. So let's just say they're the 1 seed. So Green Bay is 9-3 at the moment. Then coming out of the bye, they have Chicago on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, that's a win. Come on.
At Baltimore.
Toss up there for me. I'll give that one to Lamar.
Okay. So then Cleveland on Christmas weekend. Win. Minnesota. They lost to the Vikings.
Win. They're going to beat the Vikings.
Then at Detroit to end the regular season.
That's another one. Yeah.
And again, that might be if they're like entrenched, or if they are entrenched as not having the bye, they might just rest everybody because they won't have a bye. You know what I mean? In that final game of the regular season, maybe Detroit gets 2 wins. Who knows? So
a quick point here, and then we can continue. But that's what's interesting about Baltimore. You never know if you're going to get MVP Lamar or like the Lamar that's kind of like teetering. Because if teetering Lamar shows up to that game, then the Packers will win. So that's a little bit of a toss up there.
Tampa's final 5 games. They are home against Buffalo next week.
Man, I think Tampa wins that one too.
New Orleans after that.
That's a win.
And then at Carolina, that's a win. By the way, firing Joe Brady on Sunday. And then at the Jets, and then Carolina to wrap it up.
Yeah, those are all wins.
So, I mean, I don't think Tampa gets the 1 seed. To answer your question. So, but speaking of Arizona,
the parity in this league, right? In our league.
That's right. Speaking of Arizona, now the blitz begins. This was painful for me, Pete Sweeney, because in my connected franchise on Madden with my cousin, I run the Chicago Bears for obvious reasons. But the Bears, not enough for Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins' return. Arizona winning 33-22, the first team to get to 10 wins this season. James Conner, 20 carries, 75 yards. Did have a receiving touchdown to go along. Kyler Murray, only 11 of 15 in his return, did throw 2 touchdowns, but Andy Dalton also threw touchdowns and 4 interceptions, throwing the ball 41 times. Gross.
This was a real complete defensive effort, I would say, for what was Arizona. They were hitting Dalton all day. They ended up having 3 sacks, number of quarterback hits. They had 4 picks, ton of passes defensed. You like the Cardinals because they really feel like one of the most, if not the most complete team and consistent team in the NFL. And I understand maybe some of the concern with Kyler Murray's numbers, but I saw enough in his body, right? He looked like the old Kyler Murray, where I think you really feel good about the stretch. He may not have been 100% in his return to the field on Sunday, but I saw enough to say he'll be 100% by the time the end of the season / playoffs roll around. And the Cardinals, I have seen this now a lot this morning, starting with Good Morning Football and some of the ESPN Twitter accounts and whatnot. And folks are saying, well, why doesn't anyone talk about the Cardinals? Well, I mean, I don't know what the answer is to that, because you do still, I think, see a lot of people picking Green Bay and Tampa.
And Tampa, like you just said, yeah.
But maybe the team that's clearly going to win the NFC is right in front of us, and we are missing it a little bit here.
Kyler Murray, by the way, friend of the SB Nation NFL show, spoke to us during the Super Bowl last year. Maybe he'll be playing in it this year.
Friend of the NFL show, yep.
Let's move on. Pete, I don't know if you do this, but sometimes, when the Sunday games are on, you kind of have the thought like, oh, this is one of the ones we're going to dive deep into on Monday Football Monday. I thought this would be one of those. The Los Angeles Chargers took a 24-0 lead against the Cincinnati Bengals, and then the Bengals roared back, narrowed it to 24-22 before the Chargers just went off in the fourth quarter, scoring 17 unanswered to end it. 41-22 the final score. Austin Eckler, not a big day on the ground, but did, have a couple of nice runs. Justin Herbert, 26 of 35, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns and the interception. Yeah. Some people saying Joe Burrow outplayed him. This was the matchup of the 2020 number 1 overall pick, the number 6 overall pick, who got it right, blah, blah, blah. But the Chargers got the win at least today.
I like both of these quarterbacks a lot. Still 1A, 1B type of thing for me. This was a great game. I know the score doesn't depict that, but this is why NFL coaches are so crazy about turnovers, because the Chargers, as a lot of people like to make the joke, were chargering, right? They were up at 24. The Bengals got it to 22. They tried for a 2-point conversion, ended up failing. And then Joe Mixon has this fumble, and it completely changed the game. It made the Chargers stop what was a complete fall apart. Tavon Campbell picks it up, returns it for 61 yards. And then all of a sudden it's 31-22. And then it reset the Chargers back to the beginning of the game. It's such a momentum game sometimes. So we look at these box scores, but unless you really looked at this game, you'd say this was a blowout. This was not a blowout. The Bengals just gave it away in a sense. They were going to win. I'm telling you, they were going to win before that fumble.
Give it away.
Yeah. Mixing. You mean mixing it up. And yeah, that was it. So 41-22. Both of these teams are now 7-5, RJ.
The Indianapolis Colts got a 31-0 blank of a win over the Houston Texans. Really not a ton to say. Jonathan Taylor, awesome. Carson Wentz, you teased at the beginning here. I don't believe.
Bad day for the love of your life, Kirk Cousins. Good day for your arch nemesis, Carson Wentz.
I do not believe that Carson has hit the threshold yet to secure Philadelphia's pick that they received from Indianapolis being a first rounder, but it's right there. So it's going to be a first round pick.
You got to play him. You have to play him now. There's no choice anymore.
But the Colts look like a playoff team. Again, this was not a close game. So this will be a great episode of Hard Knocks on Wednesday. But I say they look like a playoff team, Pete Sweeney, but they are the 9 seed. They are 7-6. I said,
the AFC is insane. This year.
Dude. Just for perspective, the 9 seed in the NFC is your Minnesota Vikings at 5-7.
Okay.
And so
I just kind of explained.
So the Colts are 7-6 behind as far as the 3 wild cards at the moment in the AFC: the Buffalo Bills, and could be the New England Patriots again, depending on tonight. The LA Chargers, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the first team on Cincinnati's heels. So Indianapolis right there.
Yeah, and this is a team, the AFC, in the AFC club meeting. What do they call that in the Little Rascals, the clubhouse? I'm probably dating myself here, but all the other AFC teams should be banding together and saying, we got to keep this Indianapolis Colts team out of the playoffs, because I don't think anyone wants to play what is this tandem of Carson Wentz and
I don't buy it. I don't buy that Carson is part of a tandem. I think you and Jonathan Taylor are the same tandem that Carson Wentz and Jonathan Taylor are.
Jonathan Taylor, you can just see it now. Close your eyes. Okay, here they are in the playoffs, the 7 seed. They're playing on wild card weekend, and what would they play? The 3rd seed or the 4th seed? They play the 4th seed.
Right.
And they're playing the 4th seed wherever they are.
They would have to become the 5 seed to play the 4 seed.
Whatever they're playing. Jonathan Taylor, the 3rd seed. Jonathan Taylor is just running and bleeding the clock. And it's a 3-point game. And all of a sudden, the Indianapolis Colts come into your city where you had a pretty damn good year. And they're the 7 seed. And they just knocked your ass out of the playoffs. So the other AFC teams really need to get it together here and make sure Indianapolis doesn't make it.
There are very few fantasy players that come along that it's awesome if you have that ride. Derrick Henry's obviously been one of those guys, but like the OG, like when we were growing up, Pete, like in high school and college, like your Sean Alexander's, your LaDainian Tomlinson's,
Jamal Charles, come on.
Your Jamal Charles's, your Arian Foster's, like those were these, like you get on, you ride the ride and you get a title. But Jonathan Taylor doing that. Let's move on. The Miami Dolphins
last year, 6 touchdowns on Christmas.
Yeah, that was Alvin Kamara. The Miami Dolphins beat the New York Giants 20-9. I don't know if you have seen this stat floating around, Pete, The New York Giants have not had a touchdown involving a running back or a wide receiver. Hang on, I want to get this right. I'm pulling it up right now. No Giants wide receiver or running back has scored a touchdown since October. Pete Sweeney, you traded for Saquon Barkley. I bet you're regretting it right now.
I watched some of this game because it was on the early slate. And what I noticed, and this is something I think Giants fans can take away, is that there really is not that much difference between like what Mike Glennon looks like and what Daniel Jones looks like. There really isn't. And I think if Daniel Jones plays in this game yesterday, I think it's 20-9 Dolphins. Like that's how I feel. And that's a freaking problem. I've said this before, but they need to get rid of their GM. Joe Judge is a Joe joke. I don't like Joe Judge. They need a new quarterback. A point for Miami, who again, because they play in the AFC, they're kind of still in the mix at 6-7. Their defense was really good in this game. Mike Glennon was pressured on 16 dropbacks. And so if that happened to Daniel Jones, it would have been the same result. And he completed just 5 of 13 attempts under pressure, and that was a passer rating of 50.8. Tua is good enough, kind of has a AFC Washington type of thing going on, in my opinion. And the defense is really going to drive this team if they are able to make a late run here.
I don't think they are. This is their remaining schedule.
Defense is coming on.
They're on bye. Then they get the Jets. Okay, cool. They'll get to 500.
7-7.
Okay, but then they're at New Orleans. Maybe they win that game. So okay, they're 8. Then they're 8-7. And you mentioned it. They're in the AFC right now at 6-7. Pete, they are the 13th seed in the AFC. But so their final 2 games, even if they do climb above 500, are at Tennessee and the New England Patriots to wrap it up. Now, maybe the Patriots have the 1 seed or something secured. Who knows? But I don't think that 10-7 is good enough in the AFC. To be frank with you, but. And even if they do somehow get there,
well, the problem that you're right, because the problem is they're not beating the Patriots.
No,
so
but
the ceiling is 3-1.
The thing here is they're not. So I don't know if you realize this, Pete. They were 1-7. They are 6-7. They have ripped off 5 wins in a row. And this
I told you they're the AFC Washington.
This is something we track at Blogging the Boys because their first round pick next year does belong to the Philadelphia Eagles. So imagine when they were 1-7, every Eagles fan thinking we're getting a top 5 pick. This is going to be sick. And then the Dolphins just rip off all these wins in a row. Good for Miami. New York, you suck. You don't deserve the word football anymore. Pete Sweeney, the Los Angeles Rams woke up offensively. Granted, it was against the sleeping Jacksonville Jaguars. 37-7, the final score. Matthew Stafford had a nice day for once. Sony Michel with Darrell Henderson on the mend. 24 carries, 121 yards, and a score. Just a nice day, a needed day for the Rams to kind of calm everything down. Everything had not really gone well for them throughout November. So they've stabled the waters. They're 8-4 now. Still a little bit of a road to end the regular season, but a nice win nonetheless.
Sony Michel looked pretty good. When they acquired Michel, I was a little confused as to why they did that, because I don't think you really saw this in New England. And I don't know if he's a starter in the NFL, but look, he's a good one-game replacement. I think the key for the Rams, and you're not going to get many keys out of this game, was that Stafford did not give the ball away for the first time since week 8. And the Rams are 5-0 when Stafford doesn't throw the ball away. There was a moment in this game, and this is my final point about it, where Jalen Ramsey, he picked up a fumble, and they were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he wanted to return that thing so badly. I mean, you could just tell. He still celebrated quite a bit on the sideline, but he really wanted a touchdown against the Jaguars. He almost got it, but not to be.
Last game to get to before we touch on Monday Night Football, Pete Sweeney. I don't know if you heard, but on the look ahead, I issued an apology to Vic Fangio.
You should.
I did, because I said, you know what, you guys clearly aren't the frauds that I said you were. I said that. And I stand by it. I never regret apologizing. I think it's always nice to make somebody feel better. It is what it is.
I'm sure he was listening to that. Yeah.
They may not be frauds, but they are definitely hypocrites at the very least. Pete Sweeney, after the Broncos housed the Cowboys, I want to be very clear here that the Cowboys lost to these losers. After the Cowboys got housed by the Denver Broncos, Tim Patrick came out and said, the fact that they went for those early 4th downs was disrespectful. That's disrespectful. I view that as you trying us.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah.
Lo and behold, the hypocritical, fraudulent loser Denver Broncos come out in the first half and go for 3 4th downs on a drive that wasted 20 minutes of our lives that didn't end in a single point. Embarrassing. Banish them. I cannot believe the NFL on purpose with full cognitive decision making put them into prime time. What a disgrace. Congratulations to the Chiefs.
Well, the NFL put this game into primetime prior to Denver playing the Chargers. And we would have all said the Chargers are probably going to win that game. And Denver would have came into this instead of being 6-5. They would have been 5-6, right? And I didn't get it either. Probably should have kept the other game because the NFC West games are always good.
The Chiefs got the Dallas Cowboys bump. That's what happened here. Chiefs need that bump, right? They beat the Dallas Cowboys. NFL says, "Oh, look at this Chiefs team we hadn't been paying attention to." They okay. All right, we'll put them in the prime time.
It was cool that week the Cowboys got to play America's team, and I will say you have to really like what Kansas City is doing right now defensively. I wrote this in my reaction to the game right afterward. It's nice. The Chiefs are keeping themselves alive for even a potential first round bye because, as we're about to talk about, New England and Buffalo have to beat up on each other twice. Maybe they split, and if Kansas City just runs the table somehow, maybe they pull it off. Who knows? But the offense is not good enough to win the AFC. It isn't. And if you want to pick one side of the Chiefs to be sure of right now, I think a lot of people would pick the defense. And I've said the same thing every week that maybe eventually Mahomes and Reed and these skill position players that continue to have drops and fumbles and whatnot will figure it out. And you can meet the defense in the middle. It's been a very, very unique and strange year in KC where you had the worst defense I've ever freaking seen. It's the same guys mostly. I mean, you had a couple come back from injury. Adding Melvin Ingram into the mix, who looks unbelievable right now. I can't believe Pittsburgh traded him in conference. He looks that good. And they look like the best, maybe, defense in the league. It doesn't make any sense. It breaks your brain when you watch it. But again, the offense is not good enough to do anything in what will be a tournament with the best teams in the AFC. So that needs to be figured out. The Denver Broncos, I think, are eventually going to move on from your boy Vic. And apology or not, I think this is probably his last little stint because they're not going to make the postseason.
Hypocrites. I mentioned it earlier about the Cowboys and Chiefs winning in primetime this week. This felt very much to me like the emotions, like looking at it through the prism of Chiefs fans, or trying to at least, the way Cowboys fans felt on Thursday night. Like, you're supposed to have this elite offense. Dallas has obviously had that at times this season. And just a game, I actually tweeted on Thursday night, it shouldn't be this hard to beat the New Orleans Saints. And it shouldn't have been that close for as long as it was for Kansas City against Denver. Again, given how hypocritical and loserish the Broncos have been.
Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill have been curbed this year. I mean,
dude. I know Tyreek's got all these catches, but like Tyreek might be, I don't know if there's like somebody tracking this, but Tyreek might be responsible for half of Mahomes' interceptions. I mean,
here's the stat. I have this. Mahomes threw his 12th pick on Sunday. That matches his career high already. We have 5 games to go. And then 5 of those interceptions have come off of dropped passes, including 3 by Tyreek. And then, you kind of look at Twitter with this, and this is more of a Chiefs-specific thing, so I'll say it quickly, but Tyreek is a little bit more of a body catcher than he is a hand catcher, and that you can kind of see that in the film. He's a great receiver, but sometimes those will just bounce off your body, essentially. And I'm not sure he necessarily has the hands of like a Devontae Adams, for example. And you're seeing a lot of these tough picks bounce off right off of Hill and then into the opposing defender's hands. And that's fine against the Denver Broncos. Is it going to be fine if you run into the Indianapolis Colts if you're playing the Buffalo Bills or New England Patriots? No, it's not going to be. So they got to figure that out.
The Denver Broncos host the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Is there any way that the Lions put together 2 in a row?
Oh, what do you mean anyway? Definitely. What are you talking about? I'm on the Lions train now.
I'm with you, Pete. We're ready to do this right now. Lions winning on Sunday.
Lock it up.
All right, cool. Last game of the week, the New England Patriots visiting the Buffalo Bills.
This
First
is great.
Place in the
AFC. This is a playoff game tonight. I'm so pumped up.
Do we have a Manning cast tonight? Do you know?
I hope. I don't know.
Well, you're not going to watch it either way. I'm double checking here.
I've been dabbling a little bit more than I was earlier in the year.
We do have a Manning cast tonight, and we do have the guests. Let's see here. I'm looking at the guest list. We've got tonight. I don't know, but either way, I think David Letterman is joining. David Letterman is.
I might have to watch the Manning. I'm a big Letterman guy. I never enjoyed Leno. I know Leno won all the ratings. Leno was too much for me. Letterman was
who
more my
tracks this
style.
stuff? Who track? I guess when you're from New York, concrete jungle, the dreams are made here.
Letterman. I mean, to me, it was a better act.
Well, anyway, this game's going to be fantastic. The Patriots have not lost since they lost to the Dallas Cowboys. The Buffalo Bills have put some life back in the thoughts of them being one of the top teams in the NFL, certainly in the AFC. But the Bills have had some rough losses. Pete, I already predicted. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I think that the Bills are terrified of losing this game because if you lose at home on Monday Night Football to the big, bad Patriots, again, after, the Bills have spent the last year with RJ Ochoa, at their side saying, we run this now. This is our division. You had your time, New England. It's over. Brady, he's in Tampa, whatever you want to call it. This is our division now. We're going to smash all the tables. We're going to get all the primetime games, Josh Allen, etc. I think Buffalo is terrified of losing this game and facing the reality again.
What's the DraftKings number on this game?
I got it. I'll look it up right now. But
I it's probably what I would guess is probably a pick 'em.
Our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook have the Buffalo Bills favored by guess how many?
It's got to be no more than 2.5.
It is exactly 2.5.
See, yeah, I gotta move to Vegas. I'm excited for this game. I had mentioned, you look at the AFC and the playoff picture. This is a playoff game, and here's why. Because we talk about the lone AFC bye. The Patriots are currently sitting in the 1 seed. When you get that bye, that's a playoff victory, right? So you're essentially right now competing for a playoff win, and whoever wins this game will be in that position. And so for me, I'm watching this game and I want to see what these teams are made of. And what's crazy about this for the other teams in the AFC, the Chiefs, who I cover, the Titans and the Ravens, the Patriots and Bills play each other again in 2 weeks. So you really want them to split this. And so I've told Chiefs fans, I think the Patriots are the better team right now. You ought to be rooting for the Bills. And then maybe it flip-flops the next time. Bill Belichick gets the film and McDaniel and the whole Patriots crew, and they're able to figure it out. I think the Patriots win both, though. I tend to think the Patriots are actually going to now win the AFC bye. I just think they're a more focused team. And I like Josh Allen, not as much as you like Josh Allen, but I think he has a problem in the sense of if he doesn't have a good start to his game, it kind of tailspins for him. And Bill Belichick just has these guys conditioned like a well-oiled machine right now. And sort of agreeing with you, that's what I think makes the difference in this.
I don't know if this factors into your prediction or not, Pete, but the weather forecast for tonight in Buffalo, strong winds with bitter cold wind chills, bursts of snow will combine with wind at times.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. It seems like a Mac Jones night. That's all I'm going to say. It seems like
Return of the low-key level football stars of Mac Jones. Return of the low-key level football stars of Mac Jones. Nice. Well, that about does it, Pete Sweeney. We've said it all. Do you have anything else that if you don't say, you will not be able to sleep tonight?
Well, I mean, just to go back to John Harbaugh and Coach Pacino, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're not going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team or we will die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you going to do?
We'll see you all next week.